Welcome all to the node. I am Mike, aka Veteran Crypto, and popping into the popping into this show is Akash and David. How's it going, gentlemen?
Hey,
Welcome,
Mike.
welcome.
So yeah, I'm super excited about this episode. Me and David have been looking at Alpend for quite a while because David is very steeped in DeFi, and I've been very bullish on Canton since I saw it pop up on RWA.xyz with massive amounts of TVL. The Broadridge repo market. Told David about it. He's been looking into it. His only hiccup right now is he's dancing around trying to find a wallet so he can, hold Canton natively. But Alpend, we've been hearing good things from our community that got early access to it, and some really good yield and stuff like that. So actually, David, let me kick it over to you and let you kind of kick things off as far as the interview.
Sure, Mike. Good to meet you, Akash. Very happy to get started. And I really want to learn more about what it is that you've been working on building. And, for everyone in our community, they may not all be familiar with your project, Alpend, and what you've been building at Palladium Labs. So I want to just give you a moment here to describe at a super high level, what is Alpend for everyone who's watching this?
No, for sure. And thanks a lot, David, for having us here. It's been exciting building on Canton. And when you start with building, or even as a user, you start looking to explore a network, use DeFi. One of the first things that comes in the mind, and which kinds of fundamentally establish for most of the markets, are a lending protocol, something like Aave. A venue where you can deposit assets to earn yield, right? Essentially to lend them and earn yield. And then the same venue that acts as a method for users to unlock liquidity against their assets. So let's talk about Canton, right? So Canton is right now, it has over $345 billion in RWAs lying around there. Then on top of it, we have $6 billion market cap CC coin, fully captured on the Canton network. And then you have CBTC, you have a number of other bridged assets that are coming across to Canton. And all these assets need a venue where you can, against which you can earn yield, and you can unlock liquidity such as stable coins. So that's what we provide, right? Very simply, we are a money market protocol where you do that, where you post collaterals, borrow funds, earn yield, right? And then we do all of that in a fully confidential manner. So if you go on something like Aave and you post collateral and borrow, right, your liquidation positions is broadcasted worldwide, right? It's known. We have seen recently this hyper liquid whale hunting that went on for quite some time, right? Because the liquidation price was pretty much visible, right? So this is a very small example, but to relate that the kind of DeFi we are building here, we are taking away all those things which leads to MEVs, or which leads to these hunting kinds of practices. So that's what we are building at Alpend. Of course, as we move forward, I will expand more on the Palladium side as well, that what we are doing here and how Alpend is one of the puzzle pieces that fits in our roadmap for Palladium. But yeah, Alpend is right now our most hit project, so just focusing on that.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to being able to use, hopefully in the not too distant future, the Alpend money market natively on the Canton network. So, let's talk a little bit about vision and your market position for Alpend. How do you see, Akash, Alpend's role evolving in the institutional DeFi landscape on the Canton network over, I don't know, maybe the next 2 to 3 years? And what do you consider to be, some of the biggest hurdles to seeing like real mainstream adoption of Alpend? Or are you already seeing the adoption?
I think for Alpend, that's why we started with Alpend, because this is a product which has proven market fit uh, on many other blockchains that came before Canton, right? And pretty much these two things, right? I mean, if once a new ecosystem starts forming, you need to have a DEX, you need to have a lending market. There are many, there are Canton Swap, there is OneSwap, there are Tradecraft, a few DEX or a trading venue on Canton, and then there is a lending venue like us. So essentially, whenever a DeFi is starting, uh, the money markets like Alpend is right now sitting at a position where this is pretty much a product market fit. The bigger your collateral assets are now, definitely, whether it's a product market fit in institutional sense is a question. I mean, in case of retail or in case of the wider adoption side of, everyone in our community so far has loved it. And the answer is simple, because we solve a very basic problem that people in DeFi wants, right? I mean, like if I have spoken to many and many of my users, and the pattern stays same, right? The pattern stays that you are a most likely on Canton, you are a CC holder, right? You want to earn yield on CC. CC doesn't give staking rewards, right? So you don't have many ways that you can earn yield on CC. Kind of we provide one of the most risk-free or simple way for users to earn yield on their CC. So this is one. So why they come to us first is because they are earning these yield. Like right now, we are giving 6% APY on your CC. So if you're holding up, you just park it on Alpend and you start earning right away. Um, that's how user starts. And then once they come in, they post the CC, they start earning yield on it. They see that immediately they have a new line of credit that has unlocked for them. So if you came on the platform, deposited $1,000 of CC, you immediately see that while you can keep earning this yield, you can also borrow, let's say, $600 in USDC or $600 in BTC, right? So you might see, like, let's say there are, this is especially the last month has been looking like there has been a lot of PERP protocols that got launched on Canton. Now, if you are an avid DeFi user and now you posted a collateral, you posted $1,000, and now you want to also use, one of these perp taxes that came across. But as a CC native, you had CC in your account. You must have CC because CC is, you will pay the network fee for that. So that's a must to have asset in your wallet. But you may not necessarily have a stable coin. And you can bridge it over to from different networks, or you can simply use the same $1,000 that you posted as a collateral on Alpend. You can take that and deposit and use those stable coins on one of these perp taxes. So the adoption roadmap has been pretty much clear on this side. We don't think that the Alpend as a product has any question around it. The question has what we are building holistically at Palladium Labs, where Alpend comes in and how Alpend can actually fit into these different pieces that we are building. So, very high level, Palladium Labs, we have, we launched the company a year ago, rebranded from Bitcoin, specifically from Bitcoin to Canton. And the first we build a holistic credit layer on Canton. Alpend was the first product that we built and deployed because it can be used for retail, institutional equally. But then the Palladium has these different verticals other than Alpend, which is more on the institutional side of things. So you think about structured yield programs, think about US Treasuries, the DTCC repo that is coming in, right? The interbank settlement or interbank credit assets. Those are the things that actually Palladium does as well. These are non-sexy things, I would say, which, kind of the retail or You don't have a lot of spices to talk about, but these are real boring things that are doing this higher capital volume when it comes to Palladium. And how we envision is that all these different elements from the institutional finance that we are currently offering, whether it's a structured program, right, or whether it's a UST repo, treasuries repo that we are offering through DTCC or someone, right? How these can actually club together inside Alpend and use and draw the same liquidity that Alpend is built on. Now, of course, this requires more regulatory and compliance thinking, how KYC and permission and permissionless pools work. So this is where we see where we are innovating on how this institutional money market can fit in with these different components for institutional finance.
So it sounds like you're building for institutions while at the same time building a retail facing front end. And is it a shared pool of liquidity? What does the architecture look like? Or are these siloed pools of liquidity? Are they vaults? Have you been able to build a vault standard yet on the Canton network, or is that still in the works?
Those are still on work. In fact, there are some amazing guys at Canton, including our partner BitSafe, and a few other guys who are using these reusable vault standard template that we look forward to use it. To put your first question in picture, it's a permissionless liquidity pools that you have on Alpend. So how Alpend works is that once you log in into Alpend, you will directly be able to see these permissionless pools. Like if you want to deposit CC and borrow USDCX, it's fully permissionless. You can do that immediately. However, let's say if you want to deposit an institutional asset which is only for the KYC users, in those cases, you will have to, if you want to access more features of Alpend, then you will have to KYC yourself. Once you KYC, then another set of pools will be accessible to you. And these are the pools in which only KYCs, depositors can actually access and enter in and then withdraw. So kind of we have tried to build Alpend as a best of both worlds, in the sense that where the assets which are open and permissionless, they can be used directly. We have kept them, kind of completely separate on the pool state level. While there are permission pools for borrowing USDCX as well. So if you are, if you care more about the compliance and who your counterparties are, then you can also borrow from these KYC pools. The yields are different, kind of the risk, it adjusts the risks for, what your assets are. But you can you have both these different assets or pools that are accessible to you.
Oh, very interesting. So I want to ask you a question about what it's been like building for institutions. So what lessons have you learned so far from working with, it sounds like, some major financial institutions on the Canton network? And how does it differ significantly building for institutions versus building for retail DeFi?
No, for sure. I think our initial focus has been more towards the institution. And one of the insights is, kind of when we talk about blockchains, institutions, they don't care much about it, right? They don't care about, kind of whether it's a blockchain or what rails that you are using. The workflow or the assets, whether they follow the set rules that needs to be, that matters on, and the assets are compliant, or the movement, the flow of hands for those assets are all compliant and happening in a manner that can be, kind of settled with the finality, atomicity, right? That's what these institutions care a lot about, I would say. They value doing things right over speed, on top of, how fast we can do that. And that's how we are seeing that a lot of things now started to unfold inside Canton ecosystem. So it's been a year now. Slowly, in July we saw that the DTCC first production transaction was done, Canton was at the forefront of it. We are expecting somewhere in the Q4, mostly October, November, when the real assets from the DTCC will again start flowing in. And all of this has happened in this last 2 to 3 years. I think it's been a year and a half since the SEC no action letter was given for the DTCC, right, to be able to be pilot all these things. And when we are still looking to go and do pilot, right, I mean, it's a very controlled environment, right? It's a you have to be a DTCC participant in order to kind of involve even on the blockchain blockchain world. So I see a lot of people talking about that US treasuries coming on chain. That means kind of people will be able to use US treasuries on chain. No, that's not going to happen.
Really?
I mean, even when the asset will come in, the asset requires the mandate. The asset has a mandate that only the DTCC participants are able to hold and move around it.
Oh, okay.
So when you have this access restriction at an asset level, just because this asset now comes to the free open blockchain, rails, doesn't mean it's going to behave something like that. And this is the reason, right, that the pilots that we are doing is meticulously built up in that manner. Kind of we have to map out these different participants. It cannot be an asset that simply roam around. It comes in with all the transfer restrictions and access that needs to come with that particular asset. But still, it's a big unlock, because the collateral mobility the collateral mobility becomes much more easier, even when you talk about bank to bank access, right? And or even kind of these institutional participants access, and they work seamlessly around it.